Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode where I dive into recent films, music, and literature in popular culture from a philosophical perspective. I recently went to the movie theater and watched Pixar's Inside Out 2, and I absolutely love this sequel. Both the original and the recent installment are incredible pieces that are realistic and deeply moving. Personally, I know anxiety pretty well. She's like an overly attached roommate who's been with me for the past decade. In this video, we are going to explore the topic of anxiety. I'll talk about what's going on with Riley in the movie, see what existentialist philosophers have to say about this essential emotion that affects all of us, and then I'll share some tips on how to handle it. For those who are new, welcome. My name is Søren, and Philosophical Solace is a channel with its name inspired by Boethius, the constellation of philosophy. Here we reclaim the ancient tradition of philosophy as a source of wisdom on how to live well. So thank you so much for tuning in. Let's get started. In the beginning, Riley's original emotional squad, consisting of joy, sadness, anger, fear, and disgust, is introduced to 4 new emotions: anxiety, embarrassment, ennui, and envy. Anxiety takes a center stage and is depicted as a workaholic, orange-toned bundle of nerves, constantly agitated, restless, and very productive in carrying out daily tasks. Anxiety works by being an uneasy specter of Riley's life, anticipating her future and inventing horror stories very prolifically. Honestly, anxiety could take up a side gig, writing scripts for horror movies. It's brilliant that in the film, anxiety becomes a prominent figure in Riley's journey toward adolescence. Adolescence is a period when you begin to experience freedom and autonomy in a more concrete sense. Of course, as a child, you can make certain decisions, like what games to play. But as you grow older, the decisions become more significant, and the stakes are usually higher. My fate is in my hands, and I must do something about it. Søren Kierkegaard and Jean-Paul Sartre compare the feeling of anxiety to the sensation of dizziness that occurs when you look down into a dangerous cliff. When you're standing on the cliff, you can choose to be cautious or not, or take a leap into the void, or something in between. That's what anxiety does for Riley. It contemplates her open future in high school, her vast freedom, and the responsibilities that come with it. With the vast array of choices and the pressure to make the right decisions, it's no wonder that anxiety can overwhelm and paralyze her. In the film, anxiety really gives Riley a hard time. It knows her weak points and induces her greatest fears, such as being socially abandoned in high school. Fear says to anxiety, "You and I are going to be friends." And philosophers in the existentialist tradition, such as Martin Heidegger in Being and Time, recognize the intimate connections between fear and anxiety, but also makes a sharp distinction. Fear is always the fear of something specific. The threat is definitive and immediate. But in anxiety, as in the case of Riley, there is no definitive object of danger. It's always a moving target. What if this or what if that? It's a floating suffering. At a certain point, you worry that anxiety is just tormenting Riley for its own sake. This reminds me of Søren Kierkegaard on the pain of anxiety. He said, "No secret agent knows as cunningly as anxiety how to attack his suspect in his weakest moment." But really, if anxiety had a LinkedIn page or business card, it would just say professional overthinker, a motivated self-starter that excelled during the team's most fragile and uncertain times. Anxiety seems to be responsible for a ton of bad decisions Riley makes. By exploiting her fears, it drives her to blend in and win at all costs. Gradually, she slips into conformity, loses her conscience, and hurts people that care about her. Furthermore, anxiety steers Riley away from accepting one's current situation by injecting oppressive and perfectionist expectations. In this sense, anxiety is a true villain of the film. However, like all emotions, anxiety is fundamentally ambiguous and doesn't necessarily lead you to become inauthentic or jerky. It can also be a great source of courage by illuminating our condition as free, self-questioning, and self-directing human beings. For example, in fully getting ahead of herself, anxiety can reach its extreme and reveal one ultimate aspect of existence, our almost death and the death of those we love, both of which can occur at any moment. While anxiety can terrorize us with the possibility of social disapproval, it can also warn us against the prospect of wasting a life in becoming a nameless copy of the masses. After all, what's the point of working hard for a life that you don't even want in the first place? Thus, anxiety actually can take a more positive role for people to become more truthful to themselves. Ultimately, like all emotions, anxiety just wants to help. But much like the poor priest in Romeo and Juliet, it messes everything up. In the end, the film reveals that the real danger does not come from individual emotions, but from letting them take total control in constructing and fabricating your sense of the self. Both happiness and anxiety try to dictate who Riley is and can be. Whether it's I'm a good person or I'm not good enough, at their core, they manifest an unwillingness to accept who Riley truly is, which is the fallible, complex, and changing person with bright and dark sides. This failure to relate to ourselves truthfully in the present is what Søren Kierkegaard calls despair in The Sickness Unto Death, which is a more advanced stage than anxiety and an existential malaise. For him, to recognize this sickness is the first step toward the unconditional acceptance of ourselves in this world. And this also happens to Riley. The beauty of this film lies in its ability to help people of all ages understand and embrace all of their feelings and memories, rather than sending them into the land of self-denial. Many philosophers, particularly those in the existentialist tradition, also take the felt aspects of life very seriously. However, I feel it's important to mention, don't forget to bring reason to the party. While trying to protect Riley, anxiety has committed numerous logical fallacies that have not been examined, such as the slippery slope fallacy, false dilemma, false equivalence, and exaggeration of bad outcomes. Anxiety is not just an overthinker, it's an extreme thinker that needs to take some time examining its premises. For example, when happiness suggests that Riley should cherish the last few days with her best friends, anxiety provides a chain of reasoning that terrifies everyone in the headquarters. To anxiety, a small action like spending time with friends means goofing around the camp. She further assumed that this seemingly harmless behavior will lead to a series of negative events, including looking uncool, not impressing the coach, not becoming a firehawk, and being alone in high school to the point that only the teachers know her name, which anxiety implicitly perceives as almost the end of the world. This is a classic example of the slippery slope fallacy, where it is assumed that one small step will inevitably lead to a chain of related and typically negative events without any evidence to support such a connection. I mean, spending time with her best friends doesn't necessarily mean Riley will goof around, and not performing well at the camp doesn't automatically lead to being alone in high school. And having only the teachers know her name is far from the end of the world. Life is full of opportunities for Riley to make new friends and succeed in different areas. Anxiety's predictions are overly pessimistic and fail to consider the numerous ways Riley can navigate her challenges and still thrive. The Stoic philosophers, logicians, cognitive behavioral therapists, and good old Aristotelians all emphasize that unhealthy habits of reasoning can sabotage our happiness, well-being, and personal relationships. And recognizing and challenging these fallacies is essential for maintaining a balanced perspective and keeping our emotional health in check. Lastly, let's remember to celebrate human complexity. Embrace the self as ambiguous. It can be both good and bad, selfish and generous, and it's completely okay to feel not good enough sometimes. The complexity of being a human is remarkable. We make decisions, acknowledge our actions, take responsibilities, and strive to understand ourselves and the world deeply. So learn to experience your emotions in light of human freedom, as a disclosure of our shared humanity. After all, as long as we are alive, we are all eternal students in the deceptively simple discipline of how to be a human being in the world. And we connect with each other through this common situation. Thank you for watching this video. I'll see you next time. Bye.